It is time once again for the weekly and monthly closes for our favorite Bitcoin miners. Let's get straight into it, starting with CleanSpark today. This is the weekly for CleanSpark. You can see here that we did this really nice head and shoulders down here. I'm going to draw it. A bunch of drawings are going to pop up, so bear with me here. We came shoulder, head, came down, shoulder, and we're going back up now. And the end of this move is up here in the 18 to $20 level. There could potentially even be as high as 20.63 there for that inverted head and shoulders. We are struggling a little bit on this particular trend line right here. That's where we've hit and keep coming underneath right now, but we are getting smashed in between that and the 200-week moving average while momentum is strengthening. So I'm not too concerned about this as long as Bitcoin doesn't fail us and go way low, which if you remember from our previous video here, that there is an opportunity, there is a chance that Bitcoin could be performing a double top and could see, at least a 20 to maybe even 30% sell off in the near future. I don't think that it would be a very long lasting sell off, but it would be quite frightening for everyone. So we are holding strong on Bitcoin in the upper mid 90,000s range here. And we did do that dip of about 10,000, but there is that threat. And that could send us falling all the way back down on CleanSpark to as low as, honestly, $10 again. That could happen. But this structure here is forming. That's nice. This is looking it is looking bullish. As soon as we take out this trend line here, yeah, I'll be feeling quite bullish. We get above $18. Oof, boy, I'll be feeling very bullish for the mid to high 20s on CleanSpark. Now let's take a quick look at the monthly. Let's take a look at the monthly. All right, the monthly. I actually don't hate this. I don't hate this at all. This is actually a really good pullback into the 21 and 200 moving averages here on the monthly and a bounce. And we've got the bounce here. And this month was a pretty significant move up here in November. We got up 35.25% for the month on CleanSpark. And we are up above the midpoint of this big bearish candle here from August. That's really good. Now, the only issue I'm seeing right now is on average force. The purple is getting deeper to the downside. But if we come over here and we look at the stochastic ribbons, those are our momentum ribbons. They are both, that is green on yellow, which is actually pretty good. And if you've been with us for a while, you know about this cup and handle right here. And as soon as we break this trend line, that cup and handle is going to take us to the brim, which is all the way up at about 23 bucks. We get above $23 and we could double. There is a potential for that to happen based on that chart pattern. Because when you do a cup and handle, what you do is you go to the bottom of the cup and you go to the brim. That's the midway point, and $45 would be the top of our cup and handle for that. We've seen that play out many times before on other assets here on this channel, including the SPY, and that's generally how they run. So we can look at this one back here real quick, actually, and show you about right there. Boop. See there, it comes up, goes up, and this one actually went a little bit above it, actually kind of a bit above it for a blow off top. The candle bodies were about that doubling of the size, and then it sold off. So in this case, if we do that again here in 2024, 2025, probably more like, yeah, this would be a $45 stock in that case if it follows that same pattern and completes the cup and handle. Okay, let's go back to the weekly and move on to the next one. So CleanSpark's looking pretty good. It's in a pretty good position right now. Actually, I'm very happy with CleanSpark. Full disclosure on my CleanSpark, I have been selling my CleanSpark into this strength recently, but I've been rolling it into CLSKW, okay, which is basically just another asset that is based off of CleanSpark. I have also been selling a tiny bit of my Mara, my Mara. I sold all my Mara. My Iren, as it's been showing a lot of strength, I've been selling off a little bit of that. I sold about maybe 10-15% of my Iren as we were climbing up here. I'm up over 100% of my Iren, so I started trimming that position as well. That's a pretty responsible thing to do. Once you start seeing 100% profits, you should probably consider. And of course, nothing I say is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. This is just how I'm doing it. When I get up to 100% on something, I tend to start trimming a couple of percentage points here and there off of my holdings to secure some of that cash, potentially even roll it over into something else that may not have run yet. Okay, let's move on to Bit Digital. Weekly for Bit Digital, it was up 3.83%. Look at that wicked doji. Look at that thing, man. That's such long wicks on every side. This thing does not know what to do. I don't like a couple of things here. Okay, so on the weekly, I do like this channel. This is a really strong channel right here. I'm gonna draw this thing right there. That's a very strong up channel. Okay. On the daily, we had this megaphone. I'm gonna leave that on there. We didn't get quite to the top of the ATR bands, which is all the way up here on the weekly at 558. I would expect that to happen potentially soon, especially if Ethereum gives us a nice move up. Now, the thing that concerns me about this aggressive ascending channel is, look at that. We went from the top to the bottom to the top again. That is wild. If we lost the bottom of this, we're going to come down to this trend line all the way down at the 200, honestly, which is at 308. Right now, it'll probably be closer to 315, 320 by the time that it got there. But that is where we would be heading if we lost this 21, if we lost this channel. If we do a crazy thing, and if we break out of this ascending channel, who knows where we're going to go. But I do think we have a date with this trend line up here, which, let's see, next week would be at 608. The week after would be 615. The week after, also 615. The week after that, 619. Like, we have a date with over $6 on Bit Digital is what I'm trying to get at. Now, the only concerns I have here are the momentum. The momentum isn't looking hot, really. You can see here the slow has gone flat and is getting tight. It could flip over. We could see it come back to the bottom of the range here, which next week would be all the way down to 380 from where we currently are. That could be almost $1 drop. The fast one is pink, which means that it is coming down. You also see average force is weakening on Bit Digital. Now, this could be turned around if Ethereum and Bitcoin have a good performance here coming out. But if not, then I would not be surprised to see Bit Digital drop $1 here in the next week or two. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Let's take a look at the monthly real quick. The monthly, I'm going to turn off my drawings. The monthly, actually, yeah, okay, that sucks. That's not great. All right, so here's an issue. Here is an issue that we see with this pattern here. So one, we came up to the 200-month moving average and we rejected. That is not good. Every time we've come close to that and rejected off of it, we've fallen all the way back down to the bottom here. And I bet you, let me see. Yeah, thought so. This one's calling it a flag, bear flag, but it would take the -3. It's not going to do that. That's silly. It would come back to the base, which would be like $2. Let's see here. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this come back to the low threes off of that rejection, especially since you can see here the slow stochastic ribbon has not gotten out of oversold territory. It has actually never been out of oversold territory on the monthly, not once. That's crazy. The fast is still pointing up though, so this on the monthly still has a chance to move up. How much did we go up? 21% in the month of November. What did we do last November? Last November we did 22%, so we're kind of on par here with what we're looking at. Oh, sorry, that was 2022, right? No, it was 2023. What did we do in 2022? Just there's November minus 13%. Yeah, that tracks. All right. Anyways, we did about the same as what we did last November, and December was really wicked for this one actually last year. So maybe that's what we're going to see again here. And I mean, things were real. I mean, the momentum last year also did not indicate that we were going to do that 63% move up. And honestly, the average force and the stochastic ribbons looked very similar last year as they do this year. So we could see a 63% pop off of this too, especially if Ethereum complies and gives us a Santa Claus rally. Let's see, what would 63% be from here? 63% from here would be 746. 746, and that's actually in alignment with my selling intentions going into the end of the year. I would likely unload the majority of my Bit Digital bags in the mid sevens this year, and look for a retracement sometime in the spring, maybe late spring to early summer is when I'd be looking at that, just like I've done in the past with Bit Digital several times already now. Anyways, that's Bit Digital. Let's move on to Bit Farms. Let's go back to the weekly here. Okay. Weekly. Bit Farms is not looking good, everybody. It's not looking great. So it was up 1.9% last month. That's kind of really poor. The performance on this thing has just not been coming through, and honestly, it's due to the institutions being scared away by Riot. Riot really did a number on them by acquiring 20% of their shares, and them losing that court battle that allowed Riot to do that. Because institutions see this as a hanger-on of Riot, basically. They buy Riot shares and they have 20% exposure to Bit Farms. So basically, one share of Riot is like it's like 1/5 of a share of Bit Farms. 5 shares of Riot, you got 1 share of Bit Farms. So the way institutions see that, they see that as efficient investing. They don't see that as, oh, I should buy Bit Farms too. And that has been causing them to suffer, even though they're one of the better miners around, especially much better than Riot is as a miner, which is really frustrating. But that is what honestly is happening to this company right now, and they've got to find a way to get underneath that foot of Riot somehow. And Riot's being very careful, very cautious not to initiate that poison pill that is going to kind of ruin that stranglehold that they've got. They are a hostile entity, and they are a parasite on the back of Bit Farms, and that is what is going on. And they're sucking them dry, honestly. So we got a doji here. Doesn't know which way it's going to go. I do think it will go up eventually. But I think Bit Farms is going to be one of the laggers here. I think you're going to be waiting a little longer than some of the other miners to see some serious profits out of your Bit Farms. I'm not saying it's not going to come. I'm just saying I think Riot has caused them to become a lagger, and that they will later than others have their day in the sun, but it's going to be a real frustrating ride getting there. Anyways, we're below the 21, we're below the 200, we're almost below the 5. We're in the lower half of the ATR bands on Bit Farms. It's just not looking good, which is really unfortunate. And yeah, that's a triangle. So we got this triangle could break either way according to the auto pattern recognizer there. All right. If we do have our wicked day breakout in the sun moment, I would be looking for Bit Farms to eventually get into the 5s and 6s, maybe even into the low teens. But, and that would be like ultimate case, by the way. But Riot's really just taking the wind out of their sails. It's really frustrating to see. Okay, look at the monthly. The monthly is up 11.69%. This is definitely not one of the faster horses right now. Let's see what the pattern is on the monthly here. What kind of chart patterns are popping up in here? Nothing, I guess. Okay, that's cool. What do I like about this? I do see, so here's what we're watching. This is going to be a lot of drawings are going to come back. Okay, right here. This trend line right there. That's the one. We break this trend line, which for next month, December, would be 266. If we can close December over 266, then we have a chance. If not, we're getting back into, if we break this lower trend line though, this is the same trend line I've been watching since all the way, back here in August that I mentioned. This trend line, if we break that trend line down to the bottom of this descending channel, which means we're going back under a buck. And that sucks. That would suck really hard. And I really don't like bringing that bad news to you, but realistically, that is a serious trend line going all the way back to December 2022. Okay, so this is a 2-year-old trend line, and we've hit it once. We've hit it twice, 3, 4 times. Now we're glued to it. Getting glued to a bad trend line is not good. Now we are also kind of glued to the top one a little bit because we've hit that once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. We tapped that 5 times. That should have broken by now. But it didn't. Same with the bottom one. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That should have broken by now, but it didn't. So I'm very concerned about that. You can see that we're getting a Keltner channel Bollinger band squeeze right here, and that is going to be when this thing lets go. All right, so here we go. See these little plus signs. when those stop printing, it's going to be an insanely explosive move one way or the other, but I cannot tell you which way that is. Okay. The momentum is weak on the monthly. You can see we got pink on purple. We got the average force getting lower. When this thing breaks, it's going to be a big old break. Okay, let's go back to the weekly, see if we have any clues here. Not really. Not really. Same sort of scenario. We went from this trend line to that trend line, and now we're somewhere in the middle again. It's not really telling us what it wants to do, but average force is getting larger. Okay, that's good. We see that the momentum on the slow is green. We do have yellow. It's very wispy, but it's yellow, but we can see, we've seen before that can turn around and go back up. But if it doesn't get up above 277, we could see that thing fail again and come right back down to this trend line. So those are the two trend lines you're watching. From the top here on December 26, 2023 to the top that we had in November 11, that's that on the weekly chart, that trend line. We're also watching the trend line from December 2022 that also taps in October, a little bit in November, and also taps again here of 2023, and then also taps again in October and November of 2024. Now, the last couple of times, right, every time it's come down here in Q4, it's popped up significantly. So that is the hope, that it's come down back down to this trend line and it's going to pop up significantly. That's the hope here. So that doesn't mean that we're going to break down right away. It is common for, and we've seen it before, that this asset will come down to that trend line and pop up hard, which last time it did in 2023, November, the very end of November, we had those 3 massive green candles that sent us flying up 235%. All right. If we did that right now, I don't know if we'd get 235%, but we'll map it out. 235% would be off my chart. Would be up at almost $6. So that is a potential. But we need to break this trend line above first. And I think personally, I think right now it's early. I think it's a little too early to call that. I'd like to see it get above this trend line and close a weekly candle above it and open the next week also above this trend line. And once I saw that, then I'd say, okay, we're likely going to come up into the 4s. Once we hit the 4s, I'd be saying, 5s, 6s. Otherwise, I am cautioning this trend line because we're just so close to this trend line still. I'm very cautious on Bitfarms right now, just because we're still very close to this lower trend line. Now, again, that doesn't mean it's going to break down. Every time it's come down to this trend line, it has had an explosive move up, and that could be exactly what's going to happen again. But until it breaks the upper trend line holding it down, I would not confirm that. Can't confirm it till it does that. All right, moving on to Mara. Mara is doing actually really well. Mara's doing really well. Ever since they adopted the MicroStrategy method of issuing senior notes at 0% interest to buy Bitcoin, they've been doing exceptionally well. And they are up last week 5.34% after being up the week before 23.5 something percent. Okay. We made a doji, which means it doesn't know which way it's going to go now. Hit the top of the ATR band at top of the ATR band's at 29.69, but we went just over $30, which was pretty great. We are hanging out just above this peak right here at 27.39. So that's actually really great. We're above this trend line here, which is fantastic. We're in the upper half of this ascending channel, which is also fantastic. That ascending channel goes all the way up to next week, 32.96. So we could see that again. I am currently out of my Mara right now. Currently out of my Mara, looking for another entry. Again, I've churned this thing like 3 times in the last 2 months, making several $1,000s off of calls on Mara as I buy the pullbacks, and it's been fantastic. Okay. You can see average force is going up and getting better and better. You can see this is what I want to see on the momentum ribbons. Look at this thing. The slow one's just getting wider and wider and wider, pointing up. The fast one is yellow and relatively thick. That is what you want to see. That is an indication of wanting to go higher. And that's what we want to see on these things right now. Let's take a look at the monthly. Let's see how the monthly went for Mara. Wow, that's good. 63.51%. That's the type of candles we want to see in November on the Bitcoin miners. That's the kind of stuff we want to see. None of that Peasley 1.9% garbage. Not saying that Bitfarms is garbage. Not saying that. Just saying that performance last month was pretty poor. Okay. Anyways. We close the body above all these over. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I like that so much. Anyways, average force is getting better here on the monthly. You can see that we are green on yellow. We are trying to pull Mara out of oversold conditions here on the slow one, but it is pinching. So that is a little bit concerning where it could potentially see a bit of a pullback here for maybe a couple of weeks and then blast off again. But that's exactly what I'm counting on, which is why I sold all my calls on Friday. Yeah, yesterday. I sold all my calls yesterday morning. So looking for that little tiny pullback, maybe to 24, maybe even as low as 23, and then boom, all the way up to like maybe even $40 for Mara. I like that we came down into the 200 and the 21 and we just blasted off on the monthly. That's really good. I'm really happy about that. And especially, okay, so since I was a little skeptical of Mara being able to reach its previous all-time high in the 80s, but now that they have adopted the MicroStrategy method, meaning they will start getting a significant premium on their Bitcoin, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing touch $60 again. I would be a little, I think 80 is still a stretch because they've issued so many shares. They've diluted so incredibly hard, but I would not be surprised to see this thing touch $60 again. That wouldn't surprise me. 80, I think, would be a stretch in a blow-off situation, blow-off top situation, just like it did back here in November 2021. That could happen, but I feel like 60 is more of a realistic move out of this thing now, considering all the dilution. Anyways, moving on to Riot. So Riot has had good performance. It's one of my least favorite miners just because I don't like the way that they've been doing business, but they've been performing decent last month, and that was pretty exciting, especially since they've been dormant for such a long time, beaten down for such a long time. So last week, they were up 2.76%. The week before, not so great, but so there are some good things in this formation. You can see it came down to the 200 on the weekly and bounced. That's pretty great. What do I got for drawings on here? Yeah, into my zone, bounced. We are still in this descending channel. Remember this descending channel that I've had on here for months and months and months and months? Yeah, well, we're still in it. Notice how we came all the way to the top of it, rejected. Now, this is where the fun starts. This is where it gets interesting. Because generally, when we come down here, off of the top here, we haven't really bounced off that 200 so much except for the first time. The other times we kind of went under it, then bounced, came under it, stayed under it, got trapped under it for a long, long, long time. Now we're bouncing off the 200. Right? Last time we bounced off the 200, like solidly bounced off of it. I mean, we didn't even go below it, honestly, which is better than this one. But let's see, what was that move? From the bottom to the top, that was a 120% move. Right now, that would take us up to somewhere like $26. So that's possible. Average force is pointing up. That's great, going in the right direction. The stochastic ribbons are also pointing in the right direction. As soon as we take out this descending channel and start closing weekly candles above it and opening new ones above it, yeah, then we're going to the 20s on Riot. And honestly, Riot is getting a huge benefit from Bitfarms because, like I said before, every share of Riot is like 1/5 of a share of Bitfarms. Every 5 shares of Riot is like 1 share of Bitfarms because they own 20% of the company. So when you're buying Riot, you're also buying Bitfarms. And Bitfarms is actually a really good miner, a much better miner than Riot. So having that exposure is actually really good for their stock, not so much for Bitfarms. So Riot is actually going to be benefiting from that quite significantly. And once we break out of this right here, yeah, I'm looking at Riot into the 20s at some point. Let's go to the monthly for November, 36.9%, a far cry from Bitfarms, 11.69% for the month. Okay, 36%. That's what we're looking at for Riot for the month. I don't know why that got so small. I know I'm ragging on Bitfarms a lot right now, and that's not because I dislike Bitfarms. That's not because of anything other than that Riot has basically been acting like a vampire, sucking them dry. And that was the point I was trying to make over and over again, is that by Riot acquiring 20% of their company, they are significantly depreciating their upside potential compared to their peers. And while they will have their day in their sun, I do believe that they will go up. I do believe they will have their explosive move. It's going to come after the others. They're going to be a laggard, so you're going to have more patience with Bitfarms now. That's all. Anyways, Riot. So there's a little bit of concern in the monthly. Average force is going the right way. Stochastic ribbons are going the right way. Let's see if this green can get out of, last time it was out was in 2021. So yeah, as soon as this green gets out of oversold conditions, Riot's going to have a very explosive move. What I don't like is that we hit the 200 month and rejected pretty hard off of that. We would need to take that out. 1593, that would be our second level of confirmation. So opening a new candle above the ascending channel, or sorry, descending channel here, and then after that we want to see a candle close and then open above the 200-month moving average, and that would be a serious indication that we're going to go higher into the 20s, maybe even 30s on Riot here going forward. Okay. Let's see if there's any patterns that this thing wants to tell me about. Let's see. Okay, it's all over the place. we could go down to 38 cents or up to 19 cents. It's not as helpful as you think it would be. Oh yeah, this is super old, the bear flag. That triangle is pretty interesting. This falling wedge. Boom, up there. I like the cherry pattern. Like, you really got to take it with a grain of salt, though, the patterns. I like seeing them. I like that top tier that lets me play with those automated patterns, but you really got to take it with a grain of salt. Like this bear flag from years ago, probably not going to do anything, have any effect now. Let's move on to Iren. So weekly for Iren. Ooh, Iren looks strong. Last week was 25.32% off of that earnings. That was a little bit lackluster in terms of the numbers, but their announcements of what they were doing was what drove this thing higher. And you can see average forces going the right way. The stochastic ribbons are also pointing the right way. We came up and the 21 is supporting us. I would not be surprised to see the 5 on the weekly start supporting us now on Iren, which is at 1132. So if we were to come down, I'd say we come down to about 1132. And that's where I would recommit the 10% that I sold for Iren. I'd recommit it at around the 5-day moving average and watch it crawl up higher and higher. I really like this scoop, and I don't think this scoop is done until we at least get up to the previous high at 1581. I do think we will likely eclipse that a little bit into the $17, $18 range, which is where I'm going to offload the vast majority of my Iren for the winter, and then I'll be waiting for late spring to get back into this thing on the lows. And the lows you can see here often is the 200-week moving average. We did once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. The 200-week moving average is where we tend to find the lows on Iren. So I'd be watching it come up to like 18, and then that 200-week moving average would probably be somewhere about $9, $10, and I'd just wait for that. Hit the 200-week moving average, I'd buy it again, and that's where I would go with that, as long as it holds above the 200-week moving average. And that's that. That's all I would do with Iren. That's all I'm gonna do with Iren. That's weekly. Let's see here. Do I have any cool patterns to show you? Let's see. Nope, nothing popping up. Nothing at all. So what's real important here right now? The 21 is a really important trend line for us to watch. Let's do this one too. This one is right there. That's a really important trend line. If we ever break that, we're coming back to the 21 for sure. On the top end here, I'm not really seeing anything I need to be too concerned about, honestly. Iren's got a really pretty chart right now. Let's take a look at the 1 month. 1 month, we're up 48.14%. Again, that's the kind of performance I want to see. I like seeing that this body closed way above the bodies here from June and July. That's really good. That's indicating that we could go higher. Now, this is also the pattern I like to see, and I've been pointing it out recently. You can see this candle here. Let me turn off everything right now. Turn it all off. Okay. Oh, there's another thing I'll have to tell you here in a second. All right. See this candle? All right. The body opens at the top, drives higher, right? This candle opens near the top, drives higher. That is the pattern we want to see. So if next month we get the body starting to form on the monthly candle somewhere at 1348 or a little bit higher, or even like 1330 or something and higher, and drives higher, we're going into this box up here. Okay, we're going into that box up here. And on the monthly here, there's another thing that was happening, that there was a Bollinger Band Keltner channel squeeze right here. That, guess what? It just stopped this month. Boom. There's the breakout. That's kind of what I'm expecting to see on Bitfarms at some point. Since they've got that Keltner channel Bollinger Band squeeze going on, as soon as that pressure releases, big explosive move. And that is pretty cool to see. and we'll likely see on Bitfarms at some point in the future. I just don't know when. Yeah, and you can see the top ATR band is all the way up at 1771 and going higher. So yeah, like I'm thinking $18 or so, like 18, maybe high 18s for Iren in terms of where it's going to go midterm, and then I'll likely offload a bunch there. Okay. Average force is going the right way. Stochastic ribbon only has the fast one since Iren hasn't been around that long. And it is also going the right way. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Corz. It's perfect. Moving on. No, Corz won't quit. Won't quit. It's still above the top ATR band. It's above my ascending channel here. This thing is unstoppable. It is absolutely unstoppable. It just will not quit. Even if it were to come down right now, the lowest I'd see it coming down to is 1429. That's barely a dip. Barely a dip. And then it'll just keep going right on up, I suspect. I can't say anything bad about Corz. It just keeps going up. It's what it does. Average force is about even. You can see the stochastic ribbon is getting a bit wispy there. Corz is an animal, and it just keeps going. All right, that's that. Wulf. How's Wulf looking on the weekly? Also pretty strong. Average force is looking really, really good. The stochastic ribbons, now those are getting to the point where they might break down a little bit, but we might just see it come down to this this trend line down here around 680 or so, and then bounce. That's something else you want to take a look at. If we get below 643, then we have a chance to fall down to the 21 at 551. But if we stay above 643, then I can see Wulf just continuing to drive higher, and this would look like a bull flag. Go higher and higher and higher. Let's take a look at the monthly on Wulf. Wulf on the monthly, same sort of thing. Look. Keltner channel Bollinger Band squeeze, boom, pop, nice big move. Above the 200 month moving average, which is really good. If we hold above the 200 month moving average, which is currently at 696, that is very, very good for Wulf. Wulf could see itself flag above that like it did back in 2021, and then big explosive move from there, hundreds of percent from there. That'd be very, very exciting, and we could see it come all the way up to $44 again. Wulf is looking like it's ready to do something like that. That's pretty exciting. And especially if we see some flatness out of it for a couple of months, boom, take it off. So yeah, that's pretty good. Average force is going the right way. The momentum is looking great for Wulf. Wulf, just overall, this is a really good chart. It's a really good chart. Same pattern as with I pointed out with Iren, where the bodies of the green candles are forming just above the bodies of the previous candles and driving higher, just above the body of the previous candle, driving higher. All really, really good on Wulf. Wulf looks great. It looks really great. Let's take a look at Hut. Hut is hot. Look at that thing. Hut is also looking really good. Average force is going the right way. So the stochastic ribbons are looking like they probably at some point want to come back, visit the 5, maybe even the 21, sometime around like maybe $18 at some point. I don't know if it's yet though. It could drive higher still even afterwards, like it did back here, like a couple candles higher. Even here where it pinched, sometimes it pinches and drops right away. But as you've seen, every time that it's done that pinch like that, this formation on Hut, it's come back down to the 200-week moving average, which right now is at 1234, which is more than a 50% drop. So will that happen? I don't know. It's hard to say. This one's a little harder to read. I'd be cautious right now. I definitely wouldn't be buying Hut right now. I'd be looking more at opportunities to sell Hut right now. I'd be looking for a top, because it's above the ATRs, it's above this ascending trend line, which is great. But the stochastic ribbons are painting a story of maybe caution is necessary at this point on Hut. Let's take a look at the monthly. Oh man, that's a really good candle. 77.45% in a month. I would consider taking some profit off of that. Of course, nothing I say is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. But that is kind of what I'd be looking for. Okay, so this is what right here. Look at this. So this June-July combo is kind of what I'm looking at right here. See this? This June-July combo right here from June 2023. This big body candle coming off of a slightly large candle as well, just like here, right? And then we have like this blow off top candle, this inverted hammer at the top of the move. I'm looking at something like that maybe for December, right? Like maybe we drive a bit higher. Maybe we even get into like the low 30s, but then that's a wick and it comes right back down to the top of this body here at 28. You see that? If you see a candle like this one here from July, the monthly candle from July 2023, if you see that this December, get very scared. Same candle here in July 2024. Likes July's, I guess. July 2024, same candle there. What's this one? That's August. I was wondering if it was also July. So yeah, July, watch that. The candles from July. If you see a candle like that, an inverted hammer with a nice long wick on top here for Hut in December, I think that's your cue to take your exit, and that Hut is going to do a drop off into the winter and early spring versus some of the others that I think are going to do that drop off later in spring. Okay, moving on to Cifr. 1 week candle on Cifr. Let's take a look. We went into the 5 and we're bouncing. I like that wick on bottom. I like the average force going up. I like this stochastic ribbon looks good too. We could see a bit more of a flag, maybe even driving down, back down into like 634, like down to the lower part of this candle back here from November 11th. But Cifr is looking strong. It's looking real strong. I like this. Is looking like a bull flag. See if there's any patterns that come through. But yeah, the target is up here at about 945, which I think would work with this bull flag. Let's see, this is the pole. Yep, it would work with this bull flag. So that's confluence right there. At least of two things. Yeah, Cifr can move up. It can move up as high as like the 934, 950-ish range right now on this move. That's very possible. As long as it holds 5-day moving average, I think it could continue up even that high and give us a bit of a blow off top there. Let's take a look at the monthly. They're up 35.9%. That's pretty great. We're at the top of this ascending channel and we got rejected. So we could find ourselves come back to the midpoint of that ascending channel, which is at 587 before going higher. That's possible. But there's also a lot of momentum coming through on Cifr. Oh, we're above the megaphone. We're above the megaphone. Nice. Let me get rid of this one. This is gone too. That's useless now. This one, I also don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. All right. Yeah, I like that. We're above this trend line. All you got to do is take this one out. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that. I don't care for that one. All we have to do is stay above this green trend line right here. And yeah, we're going higher and higher and higher on Cifr. Let's take a look at Hive. How's Hive doing? Hive, same sort of thing. I'm just going to look at the monthly on Hive. Hive is up 10.57%. That's kind of a poor showing for the month, considering it's one of the best months, or the best month of the whole year. We rejected real hard off that trend line, so I would be sticking away from Hive. Let's take a look at Slnh. Slnh on the monthly chart is negative 0.29%. Remember, this is a lotto play. This is a lotto play. I hope nobody put anything more than they could absolutely go to zero on in this play, because it's been a bit piss poor, considering that it is not doing so hot here. It is negative 0.29% in the strongest month of the year. That's not great. Now, I think this one's probably going to be more like a lagger. Remember, this thing I think is going to end up at some point being the plaything of some hedge fund bro, and we're going to see this inverted head and shoulders right here play out. And once we get back above this green line at $7, I think that's when we take off on Slnh. So again, this is a waiting game. This one's going to be later. It's going to be a lagger. It's going to be something that is going to be a pop and then a drop. So don't get married to this one at all. This one is a little bit garbage. It is a lotto play only. It needs to break this trend line here, then we can move up to the green line. We break the green line, then we got that big head and shoulders on the monthly, and that's when we move into the 20s or so. Okay, so that's all. I've got very little money in this, very little money in this. It's a lotto play. It's for fun. It's for funsies. Don't take this one too seriously. That's all I got to say about Slnh. Anyways, that is all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. Don't sleep on that sticker shop. That link is also in the description and channel bio, and have a profitable day.